Hello, bunny. Sorry, I just wanted to do the little shooty thing because this fanfiction involves shooting stuff. Let's look at the bunny. Worship the bunny. Hit the bunny. Now I put the bunny down. Hello, my fellow readers. This is Dark Symphony 777 with another fanfiction review. As always, the link to the story will be in the description below. Please like the video, subscribe to that channel, click on that bell for notifications, leave a comment in the comment section below on your thoughts on the story. Finally, this is my opinion. My opinion is not indicative of anyone in the world, so please respect that. And also, make sure to read the story before reading it. Offhanded, I do apologize if you hear a droning noise in the background. My roommate has a fan on. He's sleeping right now, and I don't want to turn off the fan because it'd be kind of rude. So, please bear with it. Let me just get this closer to me. So, the story I am doing a review of is called KP Resident Evil Apotheosis by EasyBuck58A. It is a Kim Possible / Resident Evil crossover, despite the fact it's one of those fan fictions that's not labeled as a crossover, but it is a crossover, because you'll actually find the story in the non-crossover section of Kim Possible instead of the crossover section on fanfiction.net. And I have to say before getting to the review, this is one of those stories I was massively disappointed in, because I remember reading the story years and years ago, like over a decade ago, and I liked it. Like, I didn't think it was good, but I liked it for one specific point, and I just kind of had a charm. Excuse me. But coming back to review this story, kind of made it even worse in my eyes. Like, I still, like I said, even when I first read this, I still didn't think it was that good. I thought it was okay, and I still think that it's still just a very, very okay story. Like, barely stays out of like mediocre or bad range, because it at least has some good aspects. They're there. But you have to look really hard. Isn't that right, Rayson? So, let's actually get into the plot. So, the plot actually begins on a normal day of Middleton, where the Umbrella Corporation, of all people, they just start buying up all the businesses in Middleton. Kim is actually incredibly curious, and just asks, wait, it's like, what's going on? And anyone who plays Resident Evil knows that, you know, the Umbrella Corporation is not exactly a good thing, you know? You know, they're not exactly good in the sense of wherever they go, trouble follows. That's all I'm gonna say. That after they bought everything up, it turns out they're doing naughty stuff underneath. I'm only, you know, I don't like to spoil stuff, but this is like common knowledge to anyone who's played Resident Evil. So, and a lot of people have played Resident Evil. It's just Umbrella Corporation. Bad stuff happens. On the flip side, we have a guy named Sergeant Pellegrino, who's kind of blackmailed into working for Umbrella because he's like, I gotta have the paycheck. And he kind of gets wrapped up in the whole situation, and then the story just becomes Pellegrino having to take characters from Kim Possible and get them out of the city. He takes Kim, Ron, Bonnie, Birkin, Monique, Felix, Josh, Tara, Shigo, and Draken. And a lot of those people die. Not telling you who, just saying they die. And Umbrella, as retribution, unleashes a creature called Apotheosis. Now, if you don't know what that word means, it's actually a relatively obscure word, mainly because it's mainly used in the idea of Egyptian abomination. I believe it's actually a word created in ancient Egypt. It means the process of a man becoming a god. So having a creature named Apotheosis actually is kind of cool. And then everything kind of went to shit with that plot point. I'll talk about that at the end. Trust me, there's going to be, when it comes to the reviewing part, there's not really going to be much content because there's not really a lot to talk about when it comes to this story. But yeah, that's more or less the plot. Guy realizes that shit's about to hit the fan, goes to help the Kim Possible crew. They deal with some shenanigans involving Agent Will Do from Global Justice, I believe it's, I remember right what it was called. Yeah, Global Justice. And then they basically just try and escape. So basically just like a normal Resident Evil story. Does that make sense? No? No, don't come back! Come back! Don't hide in the corner! Don't hide in the corner! That's right, you hide your... Sorry if I'm acting a little crazy, I'm still waking up. But yeah, the plot, it's just, there's just not a lot of stuff involving the plot. That's why I'm, like, having her entertain you. Because there's no content, there is some cool stuff involving one of the people dying and then, like, zombified dolphins, which is, okay, admittedly kind of cute. But there's just not really nothing. And then when you get to the same thing kind of happens when you get to the characters. You have Kim and Ron, who are like, they're kind of wrapped up and trying to figure out everything because they're so used to doing things non-violently that they're just completely shell-shocked. It's like, this is a gun, that's a zombie, you shoot the zombie. But we're trained to not really kill them. It's like, it's either they kill you or they kill them. Take your pick. Take your pick, the young one. And of course, they learn quickly, and then the rest of the characters, they're just there. Will Do is kind of a dick. He's like one of those stereotypical characters that kind cause problems. It's in every cliche zombie movie. There's always that one guy who causes problems with the group. Thank you. And yeah, it's fine. And then you get the Pellegrino, and that's where the problem with the characters lie. I get what the author was going for with Pellegrino's character. You have a world like Kim Possible where no one really dies or tries to hurt one another, and they're thrust into the scenario where they're at very real risk of actually dying. So having a character there to kind of teach them the rules of Resident Evil and how all this can work, that's fine. The problem is the story focuses on Pellegrino as the main character. He really should have been an exposition fairy and kind of just been a minor character. Have the Kim Possible and Ron Stoppable and Bonnie and all that, and Will Do. Those should have been a more major factor into the story, but instead the story just constantly focuses on this guy, and he doesn't really grow beyond guy who works for Umbrella, who escaped Raccoon City. Apparently in the story, he's actually in Raccoon City. He actually managed to escape separate from everyone else. The rest of his squad died, so kind of like Carlos Oliveira. And, you know, he's kind of, unlike Carlos, he's kind of stuck to work with Umbrella because he's like, we'll add like 2 zeros at the end. How about that? And it's like, I need the money. And he doesn't really grow outside of that, so he comes off as a flat character. He works as an exposition character, like, again, giving the Kim Possible crew all the information of how it's done in this scenario. And for that, he's fine. Like, he doesn't really excel a bit, but for that specific function of his character, that's fine. And after that, you don't really have much of a character. You have Kim and Ron, who distrust them, who distrust Agent Pellegrino because, because of how he does things. And that's a fine conflict, but that's over really quickly. There's not really a lot to absorb. No, that's fine. Grammar errors is fine. Pacing is actually fine. It's just really my biggest problem with the story is it goes by it's way too short. It's only about 100,000 words. Now, normally that would be, it's 100,000 words. That's actually a decent chunk of story. But when you actually read this story, it goes by really fast. Like, I actually finished reading the story in a day. Like, that kind of speaks to how fast a story is when you can read 100,000 words in a day. Like, that's... And I was at work when I finished the story. That's really insane. That really says something about how fast this story goes. Because other Resident Evil stories, they kind of take the more slow, methodical approach. Like, you take Darkness Arises, that story is around 500,000 words. You take Project Lucifer, I believe that story's around 300,000 words. Or, how long is Project Lucifer? One back. Project Lucifer. How long is that story? It's 200,000 words, so it's double the length of this story. And I didn't have problems with the pacing with those two stories. I have a problem with this story because it comes off as the author needing to add more stuff. Like, really needs to add more stuff. Like, he tries to cram as much as he can in the time frame he has, but it doesn't fit because he's making everything go too fast. Like, fine, some of the parts needed to go fast, like the ending of the story. Fine, that's, fast-paced. The fight between Kim and Wildu, fine, fast-paced. The part with the aquarium when they're trying to escape the shark tank, that's fast-paced, that's fine, that fits. It's just, the moment the zombies show up, then it just goes fast-paced and never really slows down to let the reader have time to breathe in what's going on. And that's when the story starts to suffer in that aspect. It just never slows down to give us time to get used to the atmosphere, to get used to everything going on. It's just run, run, run. It's just, just go completely balls to the walls. Like, it's not really good in certain situations, especially like this, because it's an adventure horror. You expect the story to be slower paced, and while there is a little gap at the beginning when they don't trust Agent Pellegrino, but again that's over really quickly, and then it's just really, really running again. I think that's really all I have to say about that. Would I recommend this story? I'm kind of conflicted because I do think this story has a charm, and I do think this story has... I don't really hate the story. I'm more disappointed by the story because the story had a lot of potential, and I do like the idea of superpowered Kim Possible. Like imagine Kim Possible with Wesker's powers. That's pretty badass. That's a complete awesome image to picture. But I can't really rightly recommend this story because there's just the cons outweigh the pro too much. It just this is where we're getting into spoiler territory. So if you haven't read the story, please watch it. Please read the story now. Seriously, you can finish it in a day if you're a fast enough reader. The cons are, it's way too short. There's not really a lot of character development. Apotheosis is completely wasted. Wesker's wasted. There's no need for Jill, Chris, and Carlos to be anywhere near the area, especially Chris, because he has Chris is doing other stuff. Him and Jill are doing other stuff with the BSAA. Carlos, fine. Fine, I have no problems with Carlos, but, Chris and Jill, they can get out. I can't really rightly recommend this story. As much as on a potential scale, yeah, that's fine. But looking at the aspects and the qualities of the story of everything going around and everything happening, you can't recommend it. Favorite part, obviously, the part with I got nothing. I got nothing. What would I fix? Well, this is where we're gonna get really, really creative. Let's start with the easiest thing. This story needs to be longer. That's simple as it can. It needs to be longer. 1. 2, it needs to be slower paced. Again, certain parts of the story fit it being more fast paced. Again, if you keep the whole Shark Tank thing with Felix dying at the end of that being fast paced, that's fine. That being fast paced, that works. Don't change that. The main beats of the story don't really need to change that much. They need to be expanded upon completely drastically, and you need to add in more parts and set pieces to what's going on. But by and large, the plot largely shouldn't be changed. So if I was writing the story, keep the entire story beats same. Kim and Ron, they wander around Middleton. They find out that Umbrella's buying everything up. Bye. That's fine. Kim gets curious, calls Wade. Wade's doing research. Wade actually manages to dig up stuff. He gets data breached. And this is where the first change I would have. Since Umbrella's very, very secret about anything, have him backhacked when he finds out the information. He managed to get the information, but they Trojan horse protect it, so that if anyone breaches it, it completely crashes their system. So it's Wade gives him the information, but then his whole system crashes. He has no way of communicating with Kim. But this will also leave him a way to be able to communicate with Agent Pellegrino. This is important. When the shit hits the fan, have it be all the same with the entire group minus Draken and Chigo. Being in a little base thing. So it'll be Josh, Bonnie, Kim, Ron, and Rufus. Josh, Monique, Felix, and Birkin. Did I say Birkin? Yeah, I think I said Birkin. Tara runs out. That's fine. Tara comes back in as a zombie. They don't know what's going on. They, try to basically, cheer her up, and Tara attacks them. They manage to fight off Tara. You'd have Birkin hold up the chair, push him back. And, he kind of rams the chair into Tara, knocks her over, cracks her neck, kills Tara zombie, and then they freak out, wondering what's going on. They turn on the news, zombies are attacking, and all that stuff. Agent Pellegrino, he's doing normal things. Wesker shows up, knocks out Pellegrino, saying that it's you survived Raccoon City, but have Wesker be there for a different reason. And don't have it be the G-Virus. Change it to something else. Because the G-Virus already exists. That was made by William Birkin. Have Wesker knock out Pellegrino and specifically create this whole scenario because he wants Pellegrino to work for him. Basically kind of what he did to Jake Kavanaugh in Darkness Arises. The whole reason he sent Kavanaugh into Raccoon City is a recruitment mission, and that backfired on him, so, have it kind of be like that. Pellegrino wakes up. He pulls on the headphones. He starts trying random voicemails. He gets in contact with Wade, being able to contact him, but is still locked out of the communicator. So you have a separate plot where Birkin and the group, they explore the school. Don't just keep them in the gymnasium. Have them explore the whole school, and they come across more zombies. Have them meet the Cerberuses. Have them meet maybe a Licker as they try and escape into the school. At the same time, have Pellegrino wander around Middleton, trying to get a part for Wade in order to basically hack into the communicator so that way he can communicate with Kim again. So that way now you have two dual plots going on. Have Pellegrino run into Apotheosis. Again, the whole reason why Apotheosis is woken up is because the Umbrella workers, they kind of realize, well, Kim Possible's in the city, and this would be harder to hide than Raccoon City. And the same thing with Global Justice. So now you have three plot lines kind of going on. Have Pellegrino run into the Global Justice people with Will Do. Will Do is like, oh, you gotta stay here. I gotta rescue Kim Possible. And some of them actually kind of, and instead of having Will Do be antagonistic at first, have him help out. It's like, oh, it's Kim Possible. Here's a guy. Here's like two guys. We'll send them after you. We gotta figure out what we're gonna do with this. Global Justice is still gonna fall. Don't have Betty Director die just yet. Have them all again. Have Global Justice except for Will Do and those two guys survive. Betty Director wonders what's going on. She decides to go in personally. She gets a communication from Wade saying that Kim is still in the school. He knows that he's able to, while he can't communicate with Kim, he can still tell that, she's alive. And so Betty, instead of ignoring Wade, decides to listen. It's like, okay, we're gonna try and rescue Kim ourselves and get them out of there. So the next thing we gotta do, we gotta fix Apotheosis because he's a jobber. He's supposedly based off Nemesis, but here's the thing: so was Lucifer in Project Lucifer, and the author at least did something different with Lucifer. He made Lucifer not really be able to tank as much stuff as Nemesis, but in exchange, Lucifer was able to adapt faster. How do we mix up what Apotheosis does depending on this? Simple. You have Apotheosis have something of a hive mind. It's like, okay, use the name to be creative. Like what Nemesis does in Resident Evil 3 Remake. Have him be like a hive mind. Like he takes zombies, he infects them with like another parasite, they grow, they actually gain intelligence, and they're so able to actually like at least do rudimentary stuff, like able to open up doors and actually plan out routes. Like, but nothing like what happens in Resident Evil 5 where they're colting guns and stuff like that. Just simple stuff, like able to get their prey at least a little more efficiency. So that way, so now you have a bigger threat because now you have a Nemesis-like monster with Nemesis-like endurance. He's not really as smart as Lucifer or even Nemesis, but he's able to create an army. And so the story would go, Betty heads to the school because it's like, well, where else would Kim be? Either at her home or at school. Betty goes to the house first, doesn't find him, because her family's been evacuated and gotten out of Dodge. So they go to the school. Pellegrino manages to encounter Apotheosis, survives against Apotheosis, manages to get the parts, ask Wade, where is she? In the school. They're trying to explore the school. And so it's like, okay, so he does what he does in the story, takes a car, drives there. Then we get the school. They escape the school. Everything's pretty much the same. They get surrounded. Pellegrino and Betty actually show up at the same time. Well, no, not Pellegrino yet. Betty shows up first, sees everything, goes to shit, wonders why didn't Will sell anything, because Will's there too. Let's just have Will be there as well. No, not yet. Betty wonders what's going on, and they tell him it's like zombies. Like, zombies not real. It's like, how can you do this? It's like, zombie baits up one of Betty's men. He shoots him in the head, dies. Then another guy gets killed. Betty manages to kill them. And it's like, okay, onto the ship. And then Apotheosis shows up, blows up the ship. They realize they're out of dodge, they're shut, they're kind of fucked. But Apotheosis kind of gets warded off because he gets surrounded by zombies and zombies attack him. And he's getting distracted. Pellegrino shows up, gets them all in the car. So now it's just the entire group plus Betty director. Don't worry, Betty's gonna die eventually. I plan it that the same people who will survive in the story are gonna survive here. Except for maybe Monique might survive. Maybe. And so the whole thing kind of goes from there. Like, they explore more of Middleton, have them go to the mall, have them go to the arena, have them, I don't know, fight a boss, have them have them work more on their characters, have them split up. Like, you can have, so that way you kind of get to explore their characters more. And then Betty defaults priority to Kim and Pellegrino, because Pellegrino's the most experienced and Kim is Kim. So it's like, we're out of our depth. Will-Do doesn't like that. You know, he betrays him. Have Will-Do be the one to kill Betty. And then, you know, everything kind of just works on a more expanded version of what's already happening. Like, you don't really need to change anything. It needs to be expanded on, though. And that's pretty much it. And, like, you can even have the same way they kill Apotheosis by just throwing him into a plane turbine, which admittedly is actually a pretty cool way to end a boss. But just picture Apotheosis with an army, and they have to actually fight through the army, while Apotheosis is like trying to command them, like a god sort of thing. You know, just play on the name. So that is my review on KP Resident Evil Apotheosis. I do like the story. I really wish it could have been expanded on more, but them's the breaks. We're kind of stuck with what we got. I will see you next time. This has been Dark Symphony 777, and cut.